Many travelers arrive in Bali expecting the peaceful island atmosphere they remember from older travel videos and photographs, only to realize almost immediately that something about the island now feels noticeably different. The beaches still exist, the temples still stand beautifully across the landscape, and the sunsets still attract enormous crowds every evening, yet many visitors quietly sense that the emotional atmosphere surrounding Bali has changed in ways that are difficult to fully explain at first. What surprises travelers most is that the difference often appears before they even leave the airport because the island now feels busier, louder, faster, and more internationally commercialized than many people imagined beforehand. This creates a strange emotional contrast because Bali still looks beautiful visually while simultaneously feeling very different socially and psychologically compared to the version many travelers originally expected. Older visitors often describe the island as feeling less peaceful than before, while newer travelers sometimes struggle to understand why long-time Bali visitors speak so emotionally about changes happening across the island. The answer usually lies in how dramatically Bali has evolved during the past decade as tourism, international investment, social media culture, and digital nomad lifestyles reshaped large parts of the island very quickly. Long before becoming one of the world's most recognizable travel destinations, Bali was known internationally for its slower pace of life, deeply spiritual atmosphere, traditional village culture, and strong connection to local religious identity. Many early travelers described the island as emotionally calming because daily life often felt slower, quieter, and more connected to local rhythms than heavily commercialized tourism destinations elsewhere in Asia. That older atmosphere still exists in some parts of Bali today, but many travelers now notice it feels increasingly difficult to access consistently across the island. Places once associated with peaceful rice fields, quiet roads, and relaxed village energy now often feel crowded with traffic, construction, cafes, co-working spaces, beach clubs, and rapidly expanding tourism infrastructure. Around this point, many travelers begin realizing the island itself did not simply become more popular because Bali also became deeply connected to global online culture in ways that transformed how people experience the destination entirely. Social media played a massive role in accelerating this transformation because Bali gradually evolved from a travel destination into an international lifestyle symbol promoted constantly across the internet. Millions of people now associate Bali not only with travel itself but with remote work culture, wellness lifestyles, luxury escapes, influencer content, entrepreneurship, digital nomad identity, and aspirational online branding. This dramatically changed the type of tourism arriving on the island because Bali now attracts many people seeking lifestyle experiences rather than simply traditional vacations. Areas like Canggu, Seminyak, and parts of Ubud evolved especially quickly as international demand increased across the island. Modern cafes, luxury villas, co-working spaces, fitness studios, international restaurants, boutique resorts, and influencer-focused businesses now dominate many neighborhoods that once felt much quieter and more locally centered. At the same time, Bali still contains extraordinary beauty, spiritual traditions, family communities, temples, ceremonies, and local culture that continue shaping daily life across the island. That contrast is exactly why many travelers feel emotionally conflicted about modern Bali because the island now exists between two very different identities simultaneously. One version still reflects traditional Bali with local rituals, village culture, slower rhythms, and deeply rooted spiritual traditions. The other version reflects an internationally connected tourism economy driven heavily by online visibility, rapid development, luxury experiences, and global lifestyle branding. Many travelers move constantly between these two realities while exploring the island, which creates the strange emotional feeling that Bali no longer feels fully consistent anymore. A person may experience peaceful temple ceremonies and quiet village roads during the morning before spending the evening sitting in traffic surrounded by beach clubs, nightlife, construction, and dense international tourism. This emotional contrast is one reason many long-time visitors say Bali no longer feels as calm as it once did. Traffic has become one of the most visible changes because roads originally designed for far smaller populations now struggle handling enormous tourism growth throughout popular regions of the island. Many travelers are shocked by how much time daily transportation now consumes compared to older expectations surrounding relaxed island life. The increase in tourism infrastructure also changed the visual atmosphere across many parts of Bali because construction now feels nearly constant in some highly developed areas. New villas, resorts, cafes, beach clubs, apartments, restaurants, and tourism-focused businesses continue appearing rapidly as international demand keeps growing. At the same time, many local residents increasingly worry about rising living costs, environmental strain, water pressure, waste management, and the long-term sustainability of rapid development throughout the island. This is another reason Bali feels emotionally different now, because tensions between preservation and modernization have become much more visible to travelers than before. Many visitors quietly notice that some local communities appear increasingly exhausted by the pressure of non-stop tourism growth surrounding them daily. The environmental pressure is especially visible in certain areas where overcrowding, traffic congestion, beach pollution, and infrastructure strain affect the island's atmosphere more noticeably than in earlier years. At the same time, many people continue falling deeply in love with Bali precisely because the island still offers emotional experiences that remain difficult to replicate elsewhere in the world. Traditional ceremonies still unfold openly throughout villages, temple culture still remains deeply woven into daily life, and local spirituality still shapes the emotional atmosphere of the island in powerful ways. Even many frustrated long-time visitors admit Bali still possesses moments of beauty, calmness, warmth, and emotional depth that continue drawing people back repeatedly over time. This is why conversations about Bali often become so emotional, because people are not simply discussing tourism itself. They are discussing the feeling that a place once associated with emotional escape now feels increasingly connected to global tourism pressure and modern lifestyle culture instead. Many travelers eventually realize Bali did not necessarily lose its identity completely. Instead, the island became pulled between preserving its traditional emotional atmosphere and adapting to enormous international demand happening far faster than most places can comfortably absorb. This is especially noticeable because Bali's popularity exploded globally during the same period social media began heavily influencing how people choose destinations and experience travel itself. The island became both a real place and an online symbol at the same time. That transformation changed not only how Bali looks physically, but also how people emotionally interact with the destination once they arrive. Many travelers now arrive carrying expectations shaped almost entirely by curated online content rather than slower real-world exploration. This often creates disappointment because heavily edited online versions of Bali rarely reflect the traffic, crowds, commercialization, and rapid development many visitors now encounter in reality. At the same time, experienced travelers often say the quieter emotional side of Bali still exists for people willing to slow down, leave heavily saturated tourism zones, and reconnect with the island beyond social media expectations. Smaller villages, less commercialized regions, quieter mornings, local ceremonies, slower routines, and meaningful cultural experiences still remain deeply present throughout large parts of the island. This is why Bali continues attracting millions of visitors despite growing criticism, because beneath the tourism pressure, the island still retains emotional qualities many people struggle finding elsewhere. The deeper question now is not whether Bali changed, because that transformation is already clearly visible across much of the island. The real question is whether Bali can continue evolving without completely losing the emotional atmosphere that made so many travelers fall in love with it in the first place. And for many people visiting Bali today, that uncertainty is exactly why the island no longer feels quite the same anymore.